A mayoral candidate being challenged. The saga surrounding embattled South Suburban politician Tiffany Henyard continues.
Mayoral candidate will be on the general election ballot despite an attempt to block her candidacy by an ally of...
Things are heating up in Dalton, Illinois, as Mayor Tiffany Henyard unveils her new dream team of trustees and clerks for her re-election bid. However, the rollout has been anything but smooth, with scandals, controversies, and questionable resumes raising concerns. While Henyard's strategic moves are making headlines, it's not just her team causing the stir. Tiffany herself is entangled in lawsuits, federal probes, and a reputation for stirring up drama at every turn. So what's the deal with this so-called super mayor? Can her new team help clean up Dalton, or will they only add fuel to the fire? Let's take a closer look at the chaos unfolding.
Manipulation. Nobody likes being manipulated, and when you get here, you know that's exactly what's...
Let's focus on the star of the show, Tiffany Henyard. Not only is she the mayor of Dalton, but she also serves as the Thornton Township supervisor, positioning herself at the center of local power. As the youngest and first female mayor in Dalton's history, she proudly highlights her accomplishments. However, her tenure has been far from flawless, with accusations of financial mismanagement, lavish taxpayer-funded travel, and an ongoing federal investigation. Despite these controversies, many are left questioning how she remains in office and is even running for re-election. But Tiffany isn't just running, she's running with flair, or at least that's how she wants us to see it.
Henyard was not at the hearing here today, neither was her attorney, and she was not made available.
Enter Tiffany Henyard's latest political move, a fresh slate of women trustees and clerks. That's right, Tiffany is assembling an all-female team, seemingly to rebrand herself as a champion of women's empowerment. Sounds inspiring, right? Well, not so fast. Critics are already scrutinizing the qualifications or lack thereof of her chosen candidates, and the internet is having a field day with the official bios released by her campaign. If first impressions matter, this team could already be in hot water. Take Linda Terrell, for example, one of Tiffany's picks. Her bio proudly states that she's a licensed educator and a 35-year resident of Dalton. So far, so good, right? But here's the catch. She also claims to have spent 30 years in Illinois. Hold on. How can she have lived in Dalton, which is in Illinois, for 35 years, but only have 30 years of total time in the state? Is this some sort of time travel mystery? Needless to say, people are questioning the accuracy of her credentials. Did Linda even read her own bio before it was published? And that's not all. Grammar errors are scattered throughout the attention to detail in Tiffany's campaign. If this is the level of care we can expect from her team, Dalton residents might want to brace themselves for what's ahead.
One of the most recognizable faces that's been on the news lately, talking about the mayor of Dalton, Tiffany Henyard.
And speaking of shaky details, let's not overlook the claims about Linda Terrell's supposed extensive banking experience. Her bio mentions overseeing millions in private funds, but what does that actually mean? Was she managing accounts, working directly with clients, or just handling administrative tasks? The lack of specifics raises a lot of questions, leaving voters to wonder whether this is a legitimate qualification or just another exaggerated bullet point on her resume. These vague details have many wondering if Tiffany's team is truly ready to lead, or if it's just a diversion from the mayor's own controversies. Then there's Jocelyn King, another trustee, hopeful. Jocelyn's bio jumps straight into the deep end, claiming she oversaw 8 departments and a $20 million annual budget during her time with Thornton Township. But the word oversaw alone has sparked amusing debates online, with many suggesting it sounds more like a self-proclaimed title than a genuine responsibility. Oversaw has a dramatic flair to it, doesn't it? It's almost as if Jocelyn sees herself as the all-knowing ruler of Thornton Township. Whether she actually had any real authority over that budget remains unclear. But one thing's for sure, the description reads more like fiction than a professional summary. With these kinds of questionable details raising eyebrows, voters are left wondering whether Tiffany's team is built for real leadership or just for show. And the question remains, why does hiring her feel more like following a practice run based on the build precedent laid down by Sigma?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Wow.
Let's talk about the title of this, because it's called Super Mayor, and that is what Tiffany Henyard calls.
What's even more puzzling is the lack of clarity surrounding Jocelyn King's supposed accomplishments in her role. If King truly had control over such a large budget and multiple departments, why hasn't she highlighted any specific initiatives or measurable outcomes from her time at Thornton Township? The mention of 8 departments seems more like a tactic to sound impressive, while the actual scope of her responsibilities remains a mystery. This vagueness only fuels skepticism about her candidacy. Then there's Tiffany herself. While her team's bios are being ridiculed for their errors, Tiffany's own introduction isn't faring much better. She describes herself as the CEO of Good Burger. Yes, you read that right, Good Burger, which sounds suspiciously like the title of a 90s comedy movie. Is it a restaurant, a hobby, a typo? No one knows for sure, but the internet has had a field day mocking a politician casually name-dropping a fictional brand in her official bio. And that's just the beginning. Tiffany's bio is filled with incomplete sentences, vague claims, and enough grammatical errors to make any English teacher cringe. It almost seems like she wrote it herself in a rush, which only adds to the perception that her campaign is more about theatrics than substance. With these missteps, it's becoming increasingly clear that Tiffany's re-election bid might be more about the spectacle than any real leadership.
This surprised you, how much the viewership has gravitated towards this woman. Like, people from all over the world are talking.
But let's not forget the other members of Tiffany's team. Tina Hughes, her clerk, seems to have the most straightforward resume of the bunch. She served as a supervisor in Thornton Township's General Assistance Department, where she claims to have managed a $3 million budget and assisted thousands of families. Compared to the other bios, hers is relatively drama-free, which is likely why she's flying under the radar. However, some critics are questioning whether her experience in general assistance truly translates to the kind of leadership Dalton needs right now. Then there's Vanessa Wesco, who may be the most polished member of the team. A business owner with a background in strategic IT and financial management, Vanessa's bio stands out for avoiding the wild claims and grammatical errors that plague her colleagues. In fact, some might say she's the only one on Tiffany's team who seems like a serious contender. Still, even Vanessa isn't immune to criticism. Her lack of specifics, such as the exact field of her business degree, has left some voters wondering, is she the real deal or just another name on Tiffany's roster? Of course, no Tiffany Henyard production would be complete without some good old-fashioned controversy. Many residents are questioning the true motivation behind her all-female slate, wondering if it's a genuine push for diversity or just another attempt to distract from her scandals. After all, Henyard's time in office has been far from smooth, with allegations of embezzlement and infamous taxpayer-funded trips. It's hard not to see this latest move as a strategy to shift the narrative. And let's not forget the lawsuits. Tiffany has been in and out of courtrooms, facing everything from challenges to her candidacy to accusations of voter suppression at a recent Democratic caucus. It's a whirlwind of legal drama that seems to follow her at every turn.
Fights in Thornton Township and in Dalton. Except in one case, Tiffany Henyard wants on a ballot, while in another, a Henyard ally was looking to keep her opponent.
Here's the kicker. Despite everything, Tiffany Henyard is still pushing forward. In her eyes, she's the victim of a political witch hunt, and she isn't afraid to say it. "The people will put me on the ballot," she declared during a press conference, as if trying to will her supporters into ignoring the chaos and focusing on her vision for Dalton. Whether or not they'll buy into that narrative remains to be seen. But one thing's for sure, Tiffany knows how to keep herself in the headlines.
The objector's petition has been withdrawn.
Can't do that. Can't contest everyone.
Meanwhile, the residents of Dalton are left to deal with the fallout. Many are fed up with the constant drama, calling it a distraction from the real issues facing the village. "We need someone who actually works for the people, not for themselves," one resident said, echoing the frustrations of many. Others are more skeptical, questioning how Henyard has avoided serious consequences surrounding her legal troubles. "How is this woman not in jail and running again?" one comment asked, capturing the disbelief felt by many in the community.
No comment from Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Voters here will first head to the polls in February for the primary election, then the general mayoral election.
As for Tiffany Henyard's opponents, the race is shaping up to be a battle of personalities. Senior trustee Jason House, also running for mayor, is positioning himself as the ethical alternative to Henyard's chaotic reign. In his campaign statements, House has emphasized the need for transparency, accountability, and a focus on community priorities. He's even taking subtle jabs at Henyard's leadership, calling her recent lawsuits distractions and accusing her of misusing taxpayer dollars. The question remains, will his message resonate with voters, or will Henyard's larger-than-life persona overshadow his campaign? Then there's Cassandra Hobson-Jordan, who recently secured her spot on the ballot after a failed attempt by Henyard's allies to block her candidacy. Representing the rebuilding Dalton party, Hobson-Jordan has made it clear she's ready to address the challenges left by Henyard. "It's about the people," she said in a recent interview. "It's not about me, it's about the people." Her campaign is gaining momentum, and some are calling her the dark horse of the race. But whether she can unite Dalton's divided voters remains to be seen. One thing is certain, the next few months in Dalton will be anything but boring. With the primary election in February and the general election in April, the stakes have never been higher. Will Tiffany Henyard's all-female slate help her secure another term? Or will her opponents finally bring her reign to an end? Only time will tell. But one thing is for sure, Dalton residents are in for a wild ride. So what do you think? Is Tiffany Henyard's all-female slate a step in the right direction, or just another distraction from her scandals? Can Dalton ever move past the drama and focus on the real issues? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.